this. What's up, Kate? How are you doing today?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I watched your freaking 49ers absolutely whip up on the Eagles, and what a game, let me tell you.
Ooh.
I've never seen the 49ers look so good in my entire life.
Dude, do not sleep on the Niner gang, bro. We are so stacked. We are so freaking stacked that every level of the game is ridiculous, bro.
It's so impossible. Like, there's no way any team is capable. If they stay this hot, they're going to win the Super Bowl. There's no doubt in my mind.
Dude, all I'm gonna say is there was a lot of doubters, bro. A lot of doubters. Even my own father, which broke my heart. He said, "Nah, the Eagles are 10-1." I said, "I don't care about the record, brother." I said, "I know that we are more stacked at every position. Our team has been ultra focused from the top to the bottom, bro. From the GM all the way down to the kicker, bro, to the water girls. We have been focused as an organization, bro. I was so hyped. I've never been more excited for a football game in my life. So, dude, it was a great freaking weekend. And we just didn't even beat them. We freaking slaughtered them.
Yeah, it was not even a game. Come the end of the first half, I was like, well, this game's over. Flip.
It was funny too because when you looked at the all of the Eagles fans, like half of them were gone by halftime. Like it was awesome. I freaking loved it. And I'm so excited for the rest of the year. Um the rest of our season is fairly simple. I mean, compared to the Eagles team, so
Yeah.
we're in a pretty good position. Whereas I know like the Cowboys, they have like a lot of hard games coming up. Like they got the Dolphins, they got the Eagles, they got all sorts of stuff, and so I'm excited with where we're at. Let's just put it that way.
Love that. Love that. Yeah. You guys definitely got kind of well, because now we start getting into divisional games, and divisional games usually close out the season, and your division's garbage. So sorry, Rams, Cardinals, and Seahawks fans, but you guys aren't very good. So I mean
No,
the Steelers aren't that great either, but
we're gonna eat them up, boy. Well, thank you for that. I actually forgot that happened this week. So yeah, that
you
was amazing.
update. So, but we'll start with you, man. What are your updates? What do you got to tell our NGRN community?
Yeah, so I'll first and foremost start off with a weekly update on the Vale real estate market. For those of you who don't know, Vale is a suburb, community outside of Tucson. It's probably one among four. I would consider Oro Valley, Marana, Sahuarita, and Vale kind of your main suburbs. So as of November 2023, the average selling price for a home in Vale came in at a whopping $397,500, which is the highest point it's ever been.
Wow.
And it's continuing to increase from what it looks like. As far as days on market, we saw an increase month over month. In November, it came in at 30 days on market. I'm looking at the 10 years here, really 13 actually. And it's still well below the average, even at 30 days. So if you're selling a home in Vale, expect it to be on the market for about 30 days. And then month supply, Vale's coming in at a 3.1. So they are higher than it looks like Saudita and Tucson. But they're still well below the 4 month supply, which between the 4 and 6, that's when you get into a buyer and seller's market. So, there's still a super hot market. They're obviously higher priced than the other suburbs in Tucson on average. So, I think that's why we could see a little bit longer, times on the market. But overall, that's a really, really strong market for Vale. Couple things I wanted to hit on are kind of call to action for real estate for this week. If you know, or maybe you don't, the Fed is planning to drop rates come 2024. So they have kind of announced that. I've seen multiple things like at the beginning. Most of the stuff I'm seeing is that they're planning to do it mid-year next year. Drew, you and I were talking before we started recording, but it makes sense because we're heading into an election year next year. So for everyone watching, just expect rates to drop. I mean, they want to make the economy look as great as possible as we head into an election year. So they'll do things to make it look that way. And then on top of that, we also, Drew mentioned to me that come yesterday, there was an announcement that the Pima Lighthouse program, which was a 0% down, non-repayable loan program for your down payment, is actually going to be getting refunded come 2024. And now they're planning to do refund it with $75 million, which is insane. So whether or not that comes out in installments or all at once, I mean, all we know is that's, as of right now, the information that we have. So if you guys have clients who are struggling to save up for a down payment or are really living month to month, but they do want to own and they are making money, that's a great program to be, looking out for come 2024, especially if rates go down, because what that program is, that program's interest rate is tied to the market rate. So if market rates go down, that loan program's rate that they can offer, which is usually, since it came out, it's been about 1% lower than the market rate. So if overall rates go down to like a 6.5, you could probably get a 5.5 rate with that new program, right? I'm just speculating, but that's what they've been doing. So if rates go down and the Fed drops rates next year, mid-year, and then they have an installment come out, during the summer, chances are your clients could get a pretty freaking good rate overall with that program. So again, just look out for rates, coming out in 2024, what they do, and then keep an eye out if you are, in the Pima County area for that Pima Lighthouse program.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to just kind of echo like what you had said as well, it was announced. So we definitely want to make sure that you guys know it's not confirmed yet. It was just announced in the Regina Romero when she did her inaugural speech yesterday, because she was reelected into office. That was something that she said in the speech. I've heard places and read places that there is an installment coming out, could potentially be coming out January of 2024. But again, not all of this is speculation. Nothing has been solidified yet, but just keep your eyes and ears open for that as potential. So
yeah, thanks for clarifying that. And just, it really doesn't surprise me, though, to be honest with you, if they end up getting it confirmed, because that money back in August and now back in November, a month ago, that money was gone within weeks, and that was 25 million at one time. So, I could see that money would be used well, and so I think that program is seeing that as well, and the county is. So they kind of want to provide those funds. So I wouldn't be shocked if it does happen. But Drew, what do you got for us?
absolutely. So similar to Cade, I'm going to go over my three major indexes that I follow. So S&P 500 up about actually it's flatlined this past week, but year to date it's up about 19.4%. Russell 2000 up about 2.99% that last week, and up year to date 6.13. And the Dow Jones up about 2% last week and up about 0.9%, or excuse me, 9% on the year. So my call to action is more of just like a macroeconomic kind of view of where we're at and where we're going. With the Fed announcing that they are going to be releasing these 6 rate lowerings potentially. I mean, it's they say that there could not be, they could not follow through. Who knows? But with them saying that, it sparked a lot of people pushing off home ownership and waiting to do things in life because they're anticipating these things. And what I want to, really, really breathe is, first off, if you're waiting to buy a home, you're kind of waiting for your own demise, because yeah, you'll get to take advantage of an interest rate that's potentially lower, but you're going to pay more in home prices, where you might be better off purchasing a home now and avoiding or paying, the higher interest rate for the next couple of months, waiting for rates to come down, then refinancing in the future. Again, talk to people like Cade and Marlo, who are lenders, who are the professionals within their respected arenas. However, it is super important that you are kind of analyzing all of the possibilities that you have available to you. But macroeconomically, when you're looking at it from a really, really high center view, you're going to have a lot of things tend to happen and start to happen, right? we already have the S&P made up of 7 stocks that are doing very, very well, which is floating the S&P 500, making it look as if our economy is healthy. As you heard me say, the S&P 500 up year to date 19.4%. The other ones are up half or even a quarter of that. Those are more of the actual rate of the volume, the healthiness of the market.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you listen to our video that we put out last week, you'd hear me talk about how the weighted averages and why there is such a difference. So go back and check that out. But taking that on to forward, what's going to happen is you're going to see companies that it's less expensive because rates are coming down. And typically when rates come down, cost of good comes down and demand goes up because people have more money. So what happens is you're going to see people have more money. They're going to spend more for the prices that they can because they can afford more. And then it's going to make these companies look absolutely outrageous again because they're going to say, oh my goodness, we're paying labor less. We have more money. We're able to charge more for our products. So inflation in theory is going to go up a little bit. And on top of that, these companies are going to be hyperinflated. And so I think the interest rate hike is kind of premature. I agree with you. I think it is entirely because we have an election year. And if I didn't make sense, then come talk to me on December 15th and I'll explain it a little bit more in depth on what I'm saying. But I really just fear that we're kind of putting a Band-Aid on and we started to feel the heat. I mean, people have felt pain over the last few months, I would say. But I mean, to start the lowering now, I don't know if we've completely seen what we need to see because you still have markets like the S&P 500 up 20% in a year where we really should have fell negative. So my call to action is just be very cautious and, be cognizant of the fact that we don't know where the market's going and market uncertainty is tremendous in terms of like how the economy is doing. And, if I'm thinking this way, I'm sure there's thousands of other people that are also thinking this way. And so just be cautious and cognizant. And if it's short-term money, I suggest, consulting a financial professional about where to place it because it may not be the smartest to put it in the market because we don't know what's going to happen. So that is my 2 cents for the afternoon.
That was awesome. So, Drew, quick question.
Yeah.
For anyone watching who, let's say maybe they're investing in real estate, or maybe they want to, or they want to start getting into stocks, like they're very kind of at the beginning stages of their entrepreneurial journey and they want to get started somewhere. Being in the market and economy we're in, what would you suggest to them is the best way to get started?
Yeah, I mean, it's completely dependent upon how much money and what avenue you want to go, right? Because if you're wanting to go real estate, but you don't have quite enough money yet to be actually able to put money into a home, because you don't have a significant down payment, maybe you want a house hack. So you're going to buy a multifamily property, live in one, and put 3% down as your FHA, which is totally doable, or 5% or whatever you decide. Totally doable. However, I would take advantage of the heightened interest rates right now and store your money in bonds or in short-term sort of fixed income or even just money markets and high interest savings accounts, because those are paying out extremely well because we're in a high interest rate market, right? Now, if this is money that you're wanting to get in for the long term, always investing in stocks if you have a 10-year plus outlook on life, because generally speaking, and this is not specific advice to anybody, but generally the market will probably end in 10 years higher than it is today. So putting money in there and just letting it go and letting it be and not touching it is another good way to kind of approach that situation. Or, if you are looking at short-term money, but it's short-term money you want to put in stocks, maybe take advantage of, again, those interest rates. So in the bond market, with the anticipation to start converting into stocks going into next year, once the S&P 500 kind of cools down. I know that what we're doing at Empower is we're actually advising clients right now to not necessarily avoid, like if you're doing your monthly payments, you're putting monthly payments in, then keep buying a S&P. But if you have massive chunks of money, we're feeling a little bit awkward about this market. So we're advising clients not to dump in large loads of money into the S&P. So, those are the types of things that we're suggesting to our clients. But I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, like Drew said, if you guys do have any more questions, a great place to ask those questions is the meetup on December 15th. Not only will Drew and I be there, but we have the privilege of getting to hear from Derek Polder. He's going to be speaking on some personal development strategies he's used to be successful in his career, as well as some real estate development strategies that he's been successful with throughout his career. So if you guys are interested in either just real estate or just generic personal development for your business and yourself, December 15th, 5:30 to 8:30 at the Sands Club is a time that you do not want to miss. And with that, Drew does have a quote, and we can kind of speak to that quote a little bit. So what do you got?
Yeah. So the quote of the day is, if you cannot do great things, do small things in a great way. I love that.
Yeah.
So I think, what that really means is just like, starting out developing small habits, because especially getting into real estate or getting into, the financial advising arena like I am, you come across different things as a realtor, like land or manufactured homes or FHA or VA, USDA, all of these different programs and rules that kind of fit these different types of properties, multifamily, they all have their own guidelines. And so it can seem like overwhelming to be a realtor as a whole, right? But if you do great things as a realtor, you got to start by doing great things in a small way, in terms of maybe you're going to be the best manufactured home seller that there is and learn everything about manufactured. Then you can jump into multifamily. Then you can jump into single family and learn everything you need to know about all of them. And then eventually you will be that great realtor that you're looking for. Same with me in advising. There's so many strategies and it can be overwhelming, but one piece at a time, nibble at a nibble, and you can get there. So.
Yeah, I love that. And I agree 100%. I mean, Drew, out of all, because let's face it, you have a ginormous network. And so out of all the people that you have had the privilege to meet, what's that one key factor you've seen, over and over again in successful people? What's kind of that one thing?
Consistent daily habits, for sure. Making sure that you're in a routine and that you're doing what it is that works for you. I mean, at the very first meetup that we had a speaker, it was Kay. Kay came in and said he works from 9 to 2, not from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. He works from 9 a.m. until he gets 2 appointments, whether those are 2 listing appointments, 2 buyer's appointments, like buyer consultations. He does not leave the office until he has 2. That's a daily habit that he says. My goal is to set 2 appointments every single day. Kate, I'm sure you have a daily habit that you share as well. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So having those daily habits and being consistent and not letting anything come in the way, like those come first, is what leads to be successful people.
I love that. And that answer actually kind of leads into what my goal is going to be for the next year. And I know you and I briefly wanted to talk about kind of goal setting for next year. And that's been what we've been talking about a little bit for these December Zooms. And that is, for me, focus, because oftentimes I've found, especially early on in your business, it's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to try one strategy and it doesn't work out. I'm gonna try another thing. And what happens is most strategies will work, but you have to figure them out. And in order to figure them out, it takes time and focus. And so we tend to give up easily, switch our focus, and then try something else. And so what I have had to do for myself is really answer the question of, what do I want to do? What do I want to achieve? And I've been honest with myself. I know what it is I want. And so now it's time to say, okay, that's what I want. I'm going to focus on that. Anything outside of something that doesn't help me get towards my goal, is I'm not focused and needs to be taken away, right? So, um, what is one way, Drew, you found success in your business, in your personal life, in your personal development? Maybe give us some tips on how you've managed to really focus, because I really think that's the biggest problem for people. It's not that they don't have the work ethic or the smarts, they just can't focus.
Mhm.
So what do you think, has helped you focus in on your business?
I mean, I think honestly, just understanding, like you said, having the true heart to heart with myself and saying, this is where I need to go, this is what I need to do, and not allowing anything to come in the way of that. And so I think, I've set up some strategies and some of them fall off and others of them stick. And so just trying to figure out, building that, don't invent the reel, just perfect it and really like, okay, this doesn't work for me. Time blocking I've tried over and over and over again, and it works. But if I don't stay consistent and on top of it, it doesn't work for me. I'm not consistent enough to do it. But what I have seen is, if I put together a calendar, which is something I've been doing, and I say, okay, on the calendar of uncomfortability, so every single day I give myself 3 phone numbers, or it's actually 2 phone numbers and an office that I have to go to. And it's uncomfortable and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But I know that when I do those 3 things, I've completed what I need to complete for the day. So once I have completed that, I'm good. I think that that's something that's helped. And then obviously, just diving in and soul searching on what specifically has worked for your business, whether that's lunch and learns or hiring a VA or calling people, like what works for you, and then really focusing in on that and not trying to be sort of this vacuum that does everything a mile wide and an inch deep, but really focusing on things that are an inch wide and a mile deep.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. Well, thank you for your feedback, Drew. I know we're running up on time here. So for everybody watching, December 15th, we're going to meet at the Sands Club. We get to hear from Derek P. It's going to be an awesome night. It's our last one of the year. So if you guys can make it, please show up.
Absolutely. And one last thing too, I know that we will, 2 of our members, well, our member and then his mentor, Kay and Andres, who were speaking at the first one, they are probably going to be hosting somewhat of a goal setting class for all of us. So more in details on that to come, but just want to put that out there. And until next time, Cade.
Sounds good, brother. Talk next week.
Yeah.